Jason Statham discovers a homeless mother and baby struggling on the street, and what he does will shock you. The city buzzed with life, its streets alive with the sounds of laughter, chatter, and the distant hum of traffic. Among the throngs of people, Jason Statham, the action star known for his tough guy roles, found himself wandering through a quieter part of town after a long day of filming. He was looking for a moment of peace, a brief escape from the chaos of Hollywood. As he strolled along the sidewalk, something caught his eye, a small figure huddled against the cold, hard pavement. Curiosity piqued. Jason slowed his pace, his heart sinking as he approached. There, wrapped in a thin blanket, was a woman, her face weary and worn, cradling a tiny baby in her arms. The sight was jarring, a stark contrast to the glamorous world he inhabited. The woman's clothes were tattered, and her eyes held a mixture of fear and resignation. She glanced up at Jason, her expression shifting from surprise to apprehension. He could see the baby, a fragile bundle, nestled against her chest, oblivious to the harshness of their surroundings. Jason felt a pang of empathy. He had always been drawn to stories of resilience and strength, and this was no different. "Hey there," he said softly, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" His voice was gentle, devoid of the bravado that often characterized his on-screen persona. The woman hesitated, her pride battling with the reality of her situation. "We're fine," she replied, though her voice trembled, betraying her struggle. Jason's heart ached at her response. He knew he couldn't just walk away. This was a moment that demanded action, a chance to make a difference. As he stood up, he resolved to find a way to help her and her baby, determined that this encounter would not be the end of their story. That night, Jason returned to his hotel room, but sleep eluded him. The image of the homeless mother and her baby lingered in his mind, haunting him like a scene from one of his films. He paced the room, grappling with the weight of their situation. How could he, a man with resources and influence, simply ignore their plight? He thought about the countless times he had portrayed heroes on screen, characters who fought for justice and protected the vulnerable. This was his chance to be a hero in real life, to step beyond the confines of his celebrity status and make a tangible difference. How? He needed a plan that would respect the woman's dignity, while providing the help she so desperately needed. After some deliberation, Jason picked up his phone and called the concierge. "I need a care package prepared," he instructed, his voice steady, something with essentials. As he hung up, a sense of purpose washed over him. He gathered his things and headed back out into the night, the cool air invigorating him. The streets felt different now, charged with possibility. When he arrived at the spot where he had first seen the woman, he found her still there, her posture slightly more relaxed but her eyes still wary. Jason approached slowly, placing the care package a few feet away from her. "I brought something for you," he said softly, keeping his distance to avoid overwhelming her. "No strings attached, just some things you might need." The woman looked at the package, her expression a mix of suspicion and gratitude. After a moment, she reached out, pulling it closer. "Well, thank you," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Jason smiled gently, feeling a flicker of hope. This was just the beginning, and he was determined to help her find a way forward. The following evening, Jason found himself walking the same path again, his heart racing with anticipation. He wondered how the mother and baby were faring after his small gesture. As he approached the familiar spot, he noticed her sitting up a bit straighter, her eyes scanning the street with a hint of curiosity rather than fear. "Hi again," Jason greeted, offering a warm smile. "I just wanted to check in and see how you and your little one are doing." "Yeah." The woman looked up, her expression cautious but less guarded than before. "We're managing," she replied, her voice steadier this time. "The things you left helped." Jason felt a surge of relief. "I'm glad to hear that," he said, crouching down to her level. "What's your baby's name?" "Her name is Mia," the woman replied, glancing down at the bundle in her arms. Jason's heart melted at the sight of the tiny face peeking out from the blankets. "Mia is beautiful," he said, his voice filled with warmth. "You're doing an amazing job taking care of her." For the first time, the woman met his gaze directly, her eyes glistening with unspoken gratitude. "I'm Emily," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for your kindness. It's been a long time since anyone cared." Jason felt a deep connection forming between them, a bond forged in shared humanity. "You're not alone, Emily," he reassured her. "I want to help, however. I can't." As they talked, Jason learned more about her struggles, how she had lost her job, how difficult it was to find shelter, and the constant worry for Mia's safety. Each word she spoke painted a clearer picture of her reality, and Jason's resolve to assist her grew stronger. Before leaving, he promised to return soon, determined to find a way to provide more than just temporary relief. As he walked away, He felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was more than a chance encounter. It was the beginning of a journey that could change both their lives. Days turned into a week, and Jason found himself returning to the same spot with increasing frequency. Each visit brought him closer to Emily and Mia, and with each interaction, he could see the walls around Emily's heart begin to crumble. She was slowly learning to trust him, and that trust was a precious gift he didn't take lightly. On this particular evening, Jason arrived carrying a thermos filled with hot soup and a small container of freshly baked bread. The air was crisp, and he could see Emily bundled up against the chill, her baby nestled close to her. As he approached, he noticed a flicker of recognition in her eyes, a spark of hope that hadn't been there before. "Hey, Emily," he greeted, his voice warm and inviting. "I thought you might like something warm to eat tonight." He extended the thermos and container toward her, watching as her eyes widened in surprise. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft but filled with genuine relief. She accepted the food, her fingers brushing against the warm metal of the thermos. "This smells amazing. I made it myself," Jason replied with a chuckle. "I hope it helps keep you warm." As she opened the container and inhaled the aroma, a small smile broke across her face, illuminating her features. "Thank you for everything," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. "It's been so long since anyone cared enough to help." Jason felt a swell of emotion at her words. "You deserve kindness, Emily. You're doing an incredible job taking care of Mia. I admire your strength." As they shared a moment of connection, Jason noticed Mia peering out from the blankets, her tiny eyes wide with curiosity. "What's your little one's name again?" he asked gently. Emily replied, her face softening as she looked at her daughter. "She's my everything." Jason nodded, understanding the depth of her love. "We're both going to be okay," he assured her. "I'll be here to help you every step of the way." With that promise hanging in the air, Jason left feeling a sense of fulfillment. He knew that this was just the beginning of a journey that would not only change Emily and Mia's lives, but also profoundly impact his own. As the days turned into weeks, Jason's visits became a comforting routine for both him and Emily. Each time he returned, he brought not just food and supplies, but also a sense of hope and companionship. He could see the gradual transformation in Emily. Her posture was less hunched, her eyes sparkled with a hint of optimism, and she was beginning to smile more often. One evening, as they sat together sharing a meal, Jason felt the weight of the situation pressing on him. While he had been able to provide temporary relief, he knew that Emily needed more than just food and warmth. She needed a stable environment for herself and Mia. It was time to take action. "Emily," he began, his tone serious yet gentle, "I've been thinking about how I can help you both more effectively. Have you considered staying at a shelter? They can provide you with a safe place to sleep, food, and resources to help you get back on your feet." Emily's expression shifted, a mix of hope and hesitation crossing her face. "A shelter?" she echoed, clutching Mia closer. "I don't know. What if it's not safe? What if they don't care?" "Stay steady, but I've worked with a local shelter before. They're good people, and they genuinely want to help. They can assist you with childcare, job placement, and even counseling if you need it. You wouldn't be alone in this." Emily looked down at Mia, her brow furrowed in thought. I don't want to put her in a bad situation," she whispered, vulnerability evident in her voice. Promise I'll be with you every step of the way," Jason reassured her. "You deserve a chance to rebuild your life, and this could be the first step toward that." After a long pause, Emily finally nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Okay, I'll try." For Mia, Jason felt a surge of relief and pride. "That's all I ask. Let's take this journey together." With a plan in place, Jason knew that they were on the brink of a new beginning. He was determined to help Emily and Mia find the stability they needed, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose as he prepared for the next steps in their journey. The next day, Jason drove Emily and Mia to the shelter he had spoken about. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the city, but Jason could feel the weight of uncertainty in the air. He glanced at Emily, who sat in the passenger seat, her hands nervously fidgeting with the edge of Mia's blanket. "Are you ready?" he asked gently, trying to reassure her. Emily took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Think so," she replied, though her voice trembled slightly. When they arrived at the shelter, Jason parked and turned to Emily. "Remember, this is just a temporary place. They're here to help you get back on your feet." He stepped out of the car and opened the door for her, offering his hand. As they walked inside, the atmosphere was welcoming. The staff greeted them with warm smiles, and the scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air. Emily's apprehension began to ease as she took in the surroundings. Welcome. We're so glad you're here, a staff member said, leading them to a cozy room that had been prepared for Emily and Mia. It was simple but clean, with a crib for Mia and a bed for Emily. This is your space, the staff member explained. You'll have access to all our resources, including childcare, job training, and counseling services. Emily's eyes widened as she took in the room. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of hope. It's nice, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Jason watched as Emily began to relax, her shoulders dropping slightly. You did it, Emily, he said, pride swelling in his chest. This is a new beginning for you and Mia. As they settled in, Emily looked at Jason, her expression filled with gratitude. I thank you for believing in me, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I don't know what I would have done without you. You're stronger than you realize, Jason replied, his tone sincere. This is your journey, and I'm just here to support you. With that, Jason left the shelter, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He knew that this was just the first step in a long journey, but he was committed to helping Emily and Mia find their way to a brighter future. As the days turned into weeks at the shelter, Emily began to embrace the support and resources available to her. With Jason's encouragement, she attended parenting workshops and job training sessions, slowly building her confidence. Each day she felt a little more like herself, shedding the layers of despair that had weighed her down for so long. One afternoon, as she sat in a workshop focused on resume writing, Emily found herself surrounded by other women who shared similar stories of struggle and resilience. They laughed, cried, and supported one another, creating a sense of community that Emily had longed for. It was a stark contrast to the isolation she had felt on the streets. After the session, Emily approached one of the facilitators, a kind woman named Sarah. I'm really nervous about applying for jobs, Emily admitted, her voice shaky. What if I don't get hired? What if I fail? Sarah smiled warmly, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. It's completely normal to feel that way. Remember, every step you take is progress, no matter the outcome. You're already doing something incredible by being here and seeking help. Inspired by Sarah's words, Emily decided to take the plunge. With Jason's support, she began applying for part-time positions that would allow her to balance work and care for Mia. Each application felt like a small victory, a step toward reclaiming her independence. Meanwhile, Jason continued to visit regularly, bringing small surprises, a new toy for Mia, a warm meal, or simply his presence. He became a constant source of encouragement, reminding Emily of her strength and potential. One evening, as they sat together in the shelter's common area, Emily shared her excitement about a job interview she had secured. I can't believe it's finally happening, she said, her eyes sparkling with hope. I'm so nervous, but I really want this. You've got this, Emily, Jason replied, his voice filled with conviction. Just be yourself. You're capable of so much more than you realize. As Emily prepared for her interview, she felt a sense of empowerment growing within her. She was no longer just a mother struggling to survive. She was a woman determined to create a better life for herself and her daughter. With each passing day, she was learning to embrace change, and for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful about the future. The day of Emily's job interview arrived, and the air was thick with anticipation. She woke up early, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. After a quick shower, she dressed in the professional attire provided by the shelter's donations program. As she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back at her, a woman who was ready to take on the world. Mia was still asleep in her crib, and Emily took a moment to watch her daughter, her heart swelling with love and determination. I'm doing this for you, Mia, she whispered, brushing a gentle hand over the baby's head. We're going to have a better life. With a deep breath, Emily made her way to the shelter's common area, where Jason was waiting for her. He greeted her with a warm smile, his presence instantly calming her nerves. You look amazing, he said, his eyes shining with pride. Are you ready? I think so, Emily replied, her voice steadying. I just hope I don't mess it up. You won't, Jason assured her. Just remember to breathe and be yourself. You've worked hard to get here, and you deserve this opportunity. As they drove to the interview location, Emily felt a surge of confidence. She replayed the tips she had learned in the workshops, reminding herself of her strengths and the skills she had to offer. The job was for a part-time administrative position at a local nonprofit, and she felt a connection to their mission of helping families in need. When they arrived, Jason walked her to the entrance, giving her one last encouraging nod. You've got this, Emily. I'll be right here waiting for you. With a deep breath, Emily stepped inside the building, her heart pounding. The receptionist greeted her with a warm smile, directing her to the waiting area. As she sat down, she glanced around, taking in the vibrant atmosphere filled with people dedicated to making a difference. When her name was called, Emily stood up, her legs feeling a bit wobbly, but her resolve firm. She walked into the interview room, where two friendly faces awaited her. They introduced themselves and immediately put her at ease, creating an environment that felt supportive rather than intimidating. As the interview progressed, Emily found herself opening up about her experiences, her passion for helping others, and her desire to create a better life for Mia. She spoke with sincerity and conviction, and with each answer, she felt her confidence grow. When the interview concluded, the panel thanked her for her time, and Emily left the room feeling a sense of accomplishment. No matter the outcome, she had faced her fears and taken a significant step toward her future. As she walked back to the waiting area, she spotted Jason, who was waiting with an eager smile. "How did it go?" he asked, his eyes filled with anticipation. "I think it went well," Emily replied, her heart still racing. "I really felt like I connected with them." Jason beamed with pride. "But that's what matters most. You did great, Emily. I'm so proud of you." In that moment, Emily realized that no matter what happened next, she had already won. She had taken control of her life, and with Jason's unwavering support, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. Days passed after Emily's interview, and the anticipation was almost unbearable. Each morning, she awoke with a flutter of hope in her chest, wondering if today would be the day she received the call that could change everything. Jason continued to visit, bringing encouragement and small surprises, but Emily could sense his concern for her growing impatience. One afternoon, as they sat together in the shelter's common area, Emily shared her feelings. "I'm trying to stay positive, but it's hard not to worry. What if they don't call? What if I'm not good enough?" Jason leaned forward, his expression serious yet supportive. "Emily, you've already proven how strong and capable you are. Remember, this journey is about more than just one job. It's about building a life for you and Maya. No matter what happens, you're on the right path." Just as Emily was about to respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Her heart raced as she pulled it out, her breath catching in her throat when she saw an unfamiliar number. "Oh, what if it's them?" she whispered, her hands trembling. "Answer it," Jason urged, his eyes wide with excitement. Taking a deep breath, Emily pressed the answer button. "Hello?" she said, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. "Hi, is this Emily?" A friendly voice replied. "This is Sarah from the nonprofit. I'm calling to let you know that we'd like to offer you the position." Emily's heart soared and she could hardly believe what she was hearing. "Really? Oh my gosh, thank you so much," she exclaimed, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "We were impressed with your passion and your story. We believe you'll be a great fit for our team," Sarah continued. "Can you start next week?" "Yes, absolutely," Emily replied, her voice filled with excitement. After hanging up, she turned to Jason, who was watching her with a mixture of pride and joy. She shouted, unable to contain her happiness. Jason jumped up, enveloping her in a warm embrace. "I knew you could do it. This is amazing, Emily." As they pulled away, Emily's eyes sparkled with tears of joy. "I thank you for believing in me, Jason. I couldn't have done this without your support." "You did this, Emily. You took the steps to change your life," he replied, his voice filled with sincerity. "And now this is just the beginning of a new chapter for you and Mia." With the job secured, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, knowing that she had the strength to overcome them. As she looked at Jason, she realized that their journey together had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. With hope in her heart and a bright future ahead, Emily was ready to step into her new life, one filled with possibilities and the promise of a better tomorrow for herself and her daughter.